welcome. As the name suggests, I'm Sue. I'm from GS1 Australia, and you're going to hear more about 2D barcodes. But I'm going to give you a little bit of a different perspective. The focus is on manufacturers and what they can get out of something called GS1 Digital Link that you've heard today. It is a form of a 2D barcode. But I want to do this a little bit differently, and I want to talk about a love story that has evolved. For those of you, and I love Roberto because he loves barcodes. My team is in the audience, they love barcodes, and hopefully you'll get to love barcodes. So let me talk about 50 years ago. Once upon a time, there was a guy called Mr. Barcode. He joined the world, he put barcodes on things to be sold at point of sale. And 50 years later, he is on billions of products around the world, not just at retail. So he's been pretty successful. Most people relate to him at point of sale. Ask anybody at GS1 how they describe who they work for, and we generally start from point of sale. And as you've heard from Andrew and others, we have lots of members in the world that are adopting our system beyond retail. About 10 years later, meet Miss Internet. The internet was created, and she was doing some great things, a little bit slow for those of us old enough to remember dial-up, that noise, ching, 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 right? For those of you young in the audience, you're going, what are you talking about? But Miss Internet came along and she changed the way we did commerce. We bought things, we started to buy things on the net web, and then COVID happened and we did that a lot more. But then, and the two, Mr. Barcode and Miss Internet, would be looking at each other across the dance floor for years and years and years. Finally, one day they took a dance together and they created their love child, the QR code. You've heard about it just before, you've been hearing about it all along. But they created a love child called QR code. Lots of QRs on products today. None of them are really connected to GS1, that other barcode, Mr. Barcode. But GS1 a few years ago have created a standard that allows you now to connect what you've done with the linear, the lines barcode, and this QR code. And it's called GS1 Digital Link, and it will allow you to still go beep at the point of sale. And this is the beauty of merging what you've already used for the last 50 years with, I want to say modern technology, but maybe a little bit old, but it's still modern and being adopted. The beauty, and you've heard it all today, and I don't want to repeat the things you've been hearing, we have the ability now to add data in these barcodes. That ability in the GS1 system has been around for 20-something years. Now you can do it in the same barcode that you've been using on your packaging to get to the consumer. So merging what you have with the linear barcode into the 2D barcode in the future. I'm pointing to the wrong spot. You've seen this already in a different way. There is a whole initiative that's been going on now for a couple of years, just a few. It's called Getting Our Retailers Ready for 2027. I just want to highlight, Andrew, my colleague, talked about it, Roberto's talked about it, I'm going to talk about it, because it's very important that the retailer community get ready, because their systems need to be updated, their scanners need to be updated, so that as manufacturers you get to utilise this. Now, I'm going to say something here. Marketers will not like us for a while because we'll ask them to keep putting 2 barcodes on. But the view is that if we can get the world ready by 2027, it's the end of 2027, you can start to drop off one of the barcodes. So that's the idea. Everything has an evolution. Just in the GS1 system, it has an evolution. You know, when I started, and I'm a veteran at GS1, I've been there for a very long time. I started when all I ever talked about was an EAN13 barcode. For those of you not familiar with our language, that's the thing that you scan when you go to the supermarket now, right? That's all I used to talk about for about 2 years. Now we have to talk about lots of different things because evolution has changed. The industry has asked us to solve their solutions on a global scale. 2D is no different. It came into our system. If you were here earlier and you saw Andrew's presentation, he talked about healthcare uses it. I've had the pleasure, or not, to spend a bit of time in hospitals over the last 12 months, and I see GS1 2D barcodes everywhere. I get frustrated that they're not using them yet, but they're everywhere, right? For a purpose. They capture more data in a smaller amount of space, which is ideal. So this will take time, but it is available to you as manufacturers today. And Digital Link is just connecting what was once Mr. Barcode and Miss Internet into the world of today. Keep pointing the wrong way. So what are some of the values or the opportunities that manufacturers can get? And we're seeing these here today. If you shop at, you all shop at Woolworths, don't you? Go Woolworths. If you don't, go and try it out because they are actually ahead of the game, and they are ahead of the game globally, and they've been such a supporter of this program locally, and I can tell you globally as well. But there's the food safety programs that you can leverage the data that is in these 2D barcodes, whether it's in the ones that you've been seeing with Roberto's presentation or GS1 Digital Link. All I'm going to say to you in a moment is don't worry about this language we're using about Digital Link and QR codes and GS1 data matrix. Just go to your Word document, type a sentence in it and change the font. That is what we talk about when we talk about GS1 data matrix or QR code. They're just different fonts. You take the same data, you just put it in a different font. If it makes it easier for you guys that don't live and breathe what we live and breathe every day. But once you put that data in those types of data carriers like 2D GS1 data matrix or QR code with Digital Link, you can achieve things that we've been talking about for a long time, food safety initiatives. You know, I can now have a batch number at point of sale. If there's a batch recall, I can get that information. If I have a use by date and it's out of date, I can stop the product from being sold. Food waste. Again, trying to sell more products before they reach their use by date. Anti-counterfeit is another option. We just talked before, we heard Martin talk about serialization. You know, if you've got a high value product and you want to track it. Consumer engagement is where QR code comes into play because it's natively scanned on your phone. So we had to provide that provision of linking what goes beep at point of sale and what the brand owners are wanting to do, which is reach their consumers. So I want you to get your phones out. Time for a bit of audience participation. Get your phones out. Try it. You're not all getting your phones out. Does that mean you don't have a phone? You're one of the few people. This is happening today, guys. This is not dream. What I've just shown you is the merge of Mr. Barcode and Miss Internet in their love child now today. Here's another one. Open up a new page, start again. All right. How do you bring all this data together? The gentleman before me talked about it. This is what we call the gateway into that. So what I've just described to you is the merge of a 50-year-old technology, mentioned in the Smithsonian, by the way. The first thing that got scanned is actually in the Smithsonian, mentioned by BBC as one of the top 50 things that changed the way we did business. With internet, that changed the way we did commerce and are doing commerce. How many of us are buying online these days? All right. So now you have a barcode that, you've probably heard about all those Internet of Things and being at your fridge and scanning a barcode if it's still on the product and doing all of those things. This is the conduit to be able to do that. Any questions? I'm not allowed questions. Thank you very much for your time.